So welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And this is our February monthly debrief, halfway through March. You're welcome.
Not quite halfway.
It will be by the time this gets released.
True. That's very true. That's very true.
This video is brought to you by a very gracious sponsor of ours, Noble Knight Games. More on them later. So, February, shortest month of the year.
Yes.
Shortest month of every year.
Well, actually, it's shortest by days.
Yes.
Always seems to drag on. It seems to be February forever.
I agree.
And then March comes, and it's like, seems to be March forever until it gets warm in April and May.
Yeah,
but...
and then it's September immediately.
Yeah, right.
Hate it.
Yeah.
So, short month, we played a few games.
I felt like we actually played quite a few games.
It ended up being like, we played a good amount of games within reason.
Yeah.
Also played, some role-playing games, played some Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, and things like that. So, let's just dive on in, I think. With kind of...
We don't want to waste 15 minutes of just rambling?
Well, what do you want to ramble about?
I don't know. I don't know that I want to ramble about it. I don't ramble.
Well...
My conversations are very thought out and well prepared.
What you can't see, just off camera, right down here, is the meticulous...
Notes.
Line item because
we spend
notes.
Hours.
This is all fully prepared and very well rehearsed.
Not shooting from the hip at all.
No.
We don't do that.
No. And I think that's obvious.
I hope it's obvious.
The quality of our...
Yes.
The extremely polished and professional quality of our videos.
So that's a question for you guys. Is it that obvious that we're just shooting from the hips?
I even have been training my two sons to accompany us playing on the
piano.
Oh,
absolutely. We kind of give them cues. Ollie, cue Ollie.
Ollie, smash the keys right now.
No, he's not. We need to work harder. He's not doing it.
No.
He's probably in bed now. It's kind of late.
Yes.
Getting late.
But yeah. I don't have anything insane that I want to ramble about because I'm going to
Well, we already ramble, so let's just continue with the ramble.
Sure. So
don't do a prepared ramble.
I'll be honest. When I posted topic suggestions for this month's monthly debrief, a couple of them were adjacent, topically speaking, to world affairs currently.
Yeah, which is a hard thing.
Yeah, so
it's just a hard, and it's hard not because I think we both unequivocally give our support to Ukraine.
Absolutely,
right?
Without question.
It's an aggression. It's an unfounded, unreasonable attack on a nation that is generally peace-loving and trying to do what's right. So yeah, we didn't necessarily want to talk about that, but I think we do support... No, we do support Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm just not...
Yeah, I'm
not an expert on that. My opinion shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And, we
talked
that peace prevails as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah, and that the loss of life would stop. But I know we talked about this a long time ago. We would never use our channel to go off politically, right? Or to bash one side or the other or talk. That's just not who we are.
Yeah.
We might have those conversations amongst ourselves.
Yes. But this is a hobby channel where we're discussing our hobby. Now, we play war games, and
sometimes
the war has been taken out of games and put into real life, which is a tragedy.
Yeah.
But, we're going to try to keep this to, what it is that we do, because you can go and turn on the news, and you can, immerse yourself in all of that for people who that's their jobs and are much more well-informed about that.
And I've watched a lot. I mean, I've watched a lot of news and read a lot and tried to understand it because I do want to understand but yeah, that's not what our channel's about.
No.
So we declined we had a couple of suggestions that were
and
like that.
All well-meaning, and I appreciate them suggesting those things.
Yeah.
And it's it's something I think about all the time because when events occurred at the end of February and continue to occur today, it's many emotions are being felt, and But like, I don't know.
It's just not the place and the time.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm
video.
well placed to talk with any kind of authority on those things.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, we're going to talk about the games that we played, and we are going to do that, I think.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, we did pick a topic that we'll talk about here in a moment, but I thought it was an interesting topic that might be a little different than we've normally talked about. We do not want it to come off as offensive or flippant or in any way derogatory to the games that we're going to discuss, but it's the way we feel.
It's more, we're gonna talk about some of our realities with wargaming, so to speak.
We only have 5 to 10 hours a week at the most.
And
we have
my
one
table.
And we have children. We can't leave it set up for months and months and months at a time. Somebody's going to get into it. Ollie's going to, have this brigade do a charge, and we're going to be like, oh, what happened here? So anyway. But it's the large war games that we maybe don't have the time to play fully. I guess we'll do scenarios, but not fully. That's what the topic is.
We'll get to that later.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Let's talk about what we played. Because we
played in February.
A bunch of good games in February. And I think it started off with 2 not really war games.
Yeah, these were just fun games that we decided to play with our brother-in-law and father-in-law.
Yes.
So we got together the first game we played, and we actually shot a modified review of this. Clash of Cultures, Monumental Edition. I've heard about this game from you for 10 years.
Yes. Right. I played the original version in 2012.
Yeah. With your brothers.
Yeah, it's a fun civ building 4X style game.
Yeah.
And they just released this Monumental Edition, which includes the expansions that you couldn't get. And it was a fun 4-player game, which is the max plays. We had 4, and it was like, yes, absolutely, let's do it.
Well, in this game, the original game, there were no cultures.
No.
It was just everybody was a basic civilization that had the same mechanics, the same abilities, same leaders, and you went about trying to win in that way. Clash of Cultures took a later expansion that was added to the base game, melded it all together, and added those the individual cultures to make it unique.
Yes.
So when we played, you played as the Mayans.
Mm-hmm.
I played as the Carthaginians. I think our father-in-law was the Egyptians and brother-in-law was the Vikings.
Yes.
So we were duking it out from literally different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It was fun.
Yes.
It was a good experience. But yeah, we had a good time with this one. I enjoyed it. It's not about combat. I wanted it to be a little more about combat. Sometimes I think in wargaming, I get stuck in that.
Yes.
When I play Mare Nostrum, which is one of our favorite games, I always want to beat people up.
Yeah, like that game's not about that.
It's about resource collection.
And this kind of falls squarely into those categories of games. I really enjoy them. Things like Mare Nostrum, Dark Ages, even the sci-fi versions, things like Eclipse.
Yeah.
We play and enjoy a lot of those styles of games.
Eclipse, though, I think is more about combat a little bit.
You can do more combat, but you still have to have a good
you still got to
economy.
build economy.
I even think, what was that one game? Archipelago.
Oh, it's a great game.
Even elements of that, there's a little bit different, but these styles are big box, lots of players, kind of a little bit of Ameritrashy.
Yeah,
I really enjoy those, and this is one of them.
This is a game that you're going to put on the table with 4 of your good buddies, kind of beer and pretzels. You're having a good time.
Yeah, 3 hours if you play it, start to finish,
and go about it. We had a great time.
Yeah.
So we checked the box. We've played it. We want to play it again sometime, but. That's what it was. It wasn't like this is some deep historically centered and focused game.
Indeed, it's very anachronistic.
Yeah, it's an Ameritrash game, but we had a good time with it.
Yeah,
I'm glad I bought it. Thank you for the recommendation, and thank you for indulging me and playing it.
Absolutely.
So the second game we played on that day is one of our favorites, Space Corp. Space Corp came out in 2018.
I think it was 18, yeah.
John Butterfield. And John Butterfield, you know John Butterfield from his great war games, from D-Day at Omaha Beach to...
RAF Battle of Britain.
Yep.
He did Enemy Action Ardennes, which I've got but not played.
Yep, fantastic games. But this is a little different. This is a sci-fi exploration technology development and building as you explore the galaxy. So very cool game. This is the first expansion called Ventures, right? Space Corp Ventures. It adds, just like Clash of Cultures.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you're describing this, I'm like, oh,
That's what Space Corp Ventures was.
This box is basically just Space Corps.
Yes.
A bunch of different starting player boards with totally different abilities, totally different starting setups. Some are long-term, some are short-term, some are somewhere in between. Totally different focuses of what you're trying to do. And that's, there's a couple of extra cards in there, but no new mechanics, nothing, no extra boards or anything. It's just like, here's different starting stuff, so everyone is asymmetric.
To just change up the game a little bit. So I think you can play Space Corp, the base game, over and over and over again. It's always going to be different because you're going to get different things that happen. Different cards are going to come up. But this just adds another layer of customization, and you can pick your corp. We had a good time with this. Our brother-in-law, Brum, won.
Yep.
And he won on a card that I thought was pretty broken. Because every time he did something, he got like $2 trillion.
He won by 2 points at the end.
Yeah.
And that was because he had advancements on the genetics
wheel
track.
Yeah.
That's it. Otherwise, I had him beat, and I was very upset about that.
Yeah, it was a good game, though. We had a good time. We had fun. So those were kind of non-war games that we played in February and really had a good time.
Yes.
We like to play games with our family, and we're very fortunate because they like to play games as well.
So then we kind of dove into some of the more historical war games, things that you might be more used to from us. So we finally got to Red Flag Over Paris.
Oh, so good.
This is one of the Final Crisis series games. Think Fort Sumter. This is kind of the sequel to that. Designed by Fred Servaltz, his first game.
It's a sequel, but man, it takes it in a different direction.
Right, it's a sequel in the sense...
In the series.
In the sense that, like, A Distant Plane is a sequel to Andy and Abyss, right?
Yeah. Same series, just a little bit different focus.
And that's kind of it, really.
Yeah.
So this is... what an excellent debut game, is what I will say.
Fred Serval, I think he's going to be he's a real rising star.
Yeah.
Not only is he good in a lot of different elements, he has some skills with his podcasts and his YouTube channel and different things, but man, he did some great research here. He created a really fun, interactive, cool, interesting historical game. And he's got other things coming. So really enjoyed that. I like this because it has a little more war in it.
Yeah, this is. I feel like this is much more conflict driven.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this also because this was a very good learning experience.
Yeah, I knew nothing about
between
the
Paris cards and the historical notes at the back.
Yep.
This was a great opportunity to learn about what the Paris Commune was.
Yep. How
it was treated and why, and then the knock-on effects from the basically the massacre that happened here.
Yeah.
So really, really, really good game, but also a very interesting game as well.
Yeah.
And that's, if you can get those two things together in a package that plays in 40 minutes, big win.
Yeah, and I really liked Fort Sumter, the first game, but this really turns that kind of on its head and really adds some new elements that I think really improve upon the system and make it really a different experience, which that's good. Isn't that kind of what you want? Familiarity with some newness. Because you don't want to just play the same thing over and over and over and over.
This is very much not just a reskin.
Yeah.
There's a lot of differences in there. And I appreciated that it wasn't that as well.
Yeah, agreed. Good game.
Yes. And we also played slightly less of a war game, bit more of an abstract, is
really a great
Border
game.
States from Shakos, which is a French company. They did the Napoleon 1806, 1807 games.
And have 1815 coming out, Waterloo.
We played the small game Saladin, which is yet to come out in the US at least. You can buy this with Saladin like a dual pack.
The Kickstarter was kind of a dual pack.
So this is a very interesting game. It reminds me of things, even though it's totally different, to things like Biblios.
Yeah.
Where you're doing some mechanics to try and alter these tracks, which represent influence in the border states in the U.S. Civil War.
Yeah.
Now, what you're doing in this is you've got this these block games of little secret generals that you're committing to this battle, some of which are face up, some of which are hidden face down, and then there's like a whole spatial game to that, and a numerical kind of combat numbers.
And some of them have special abilities,
like
ambush or siege, I think was one of them.
And then you like flip everything and resolve everything, and then you get influence cubes of colors that match these influence of the states, and you move a number of those influence points and net between the two of these cubes that you've got, which sounds a little bit intense.
It sounds crazy, but
there's a review of this that we've done.
It really worked. I thought it worked really well.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting look at this. Created by a Frenchman, Stéphane Brichette, I think is his name. I think he kind of knocked it out of the park with this one. It really was a solid game.
Yeah.
Not a war game, but it really is a solid game.
Yeah.
And I just love these games that come in these small boxes and really kind of knock your socks off.
Well, and again, it's one of those games where you can play a big war game and then you bat this out.
Yeah.
And then, you've just, you've got something else out of that night as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great little, or you play this at lunch, on your lunch break.
Yep.
Or you take it on vacation, because it's very portable, very small.
And it's such a great, that's in my hand, right? Such a great little
art
production.
style is very cool.
Oh, it's very cool. Well. The other thing I was asked about on Twitter when I posted some pictures about this game, did this game fall into the lost cause mentality of the Confederate States? And that's kind of a, it's a thought that, they had the better generals, they had but they lost because they just didn't have the resources and the people. This game, the generals are the same, right?
Yeah.
Each player has 8 blocks or 6?
Oh gosh, it's
8 or 6, something like that.
I think it's 10 total. No?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Okay.
10 total, and it's the same numbers. So Lee and Grant are your big generals.
Yeah, with a 4
on them. And then you've got other leaders.
Your
that are
forces
twos
are symmetric.
Yeah.
The only difference is the pictures on them.
Right. So I was asked that question, which I thought was interesting. It had nothing to do with that. They all had the same values, the same abilities, and really creates a very interesting, interactive, and frankly, very cool game. I liked this a lot. I'd love to put this on my top 10, but there were other games that were just better, and it's not really
that's less of a war game. That's, you put...
This will probably be on we're not going to do a list of games. We're just going to talk about some games that we play.
Yeah, some board games. That's like a board game. Yep. This is a war game. That's much... It's an abstract.
Very enjoyable. Very enjoyable.
The other big game we played, and by big I mean huge. Massive, is Assault Red Horizon 41, from a brand new company out of Germany called Assault Games. This is their flagship game.
Huge box.
Obviously named after the company of the game. Yeah, huge.
I can use this as cover.
And we decided this was bigger than OST.
It is. And the maps are better than OST because they're not those huge, fold-out, huge monstrosities. Yes. They're like little...
It's geometric.
Yeah, thick, hexagonal. Geomorphic. Yeah. Very, very well done.
Yes.
So
this is a tactical game. This is kind of their
East Front
offering into that. It was a very interesting system, and uses kind of off-map unit cards.
Mm-hmm.
Your units don't have all the values on them, and as such, the counters that you're the little movement counters and things you're putting on them aren't an obnoxious kind of
you can cover your counters up because it doesn't matter. I've got the unit card that has all the info I need. So
they did a really, considering this again. I think about Fred's game. This is a debut game.
It is,
and they've crushed it out of the park.
Yep.
They've done a really good job. I'm always impressed when brand new companies and brand new designers do things, and you're like, "Yep,
that was good."
They did a very good job. It's so hard to do and to do well.
Yeah.
Especially if it's your first offering.
My guess, Wolfgang Klein is the designer, no relation.
Excellent name nonetheless.
Yeah, right. I think this is a labor of love for him.
Absolutely.
He's really designed this well. I did an interview on this with him, covered the Kickstarter. frankly, for like you said, a debut effort, really, really good. And he's working on more content for this. I don't know if he's going to do another Kickstarter that adds to this, or if he's going to go into 1942 and Operation Uranus. And, I just think there's a lot of options here, but this is a very good tactical system. I enjoyed this a lot.
Yes. And again, so this is like €100 if you buy on their website. This has €100 worth of components in it.
Easy.
I've spent €100 on
much less,
much worse quality games.
We all have, right?
Yeah.
No name mentioned.
This is fully thick boards, pre-rounded, amazing counters.
Yeah. And beautiful counters. They're very well made. They're hexagonal.
Great little artwork on them too as well.
That one, I'm going to be honest, is probably going to be on my top 10.
They did a very, very good job.
I don't know where it's going to be, but it was that good that I really enjoyed it that much. And I'm very grateful that we got around to playing it. We have a lot of games to play. We have limited time. And that was one I felt deserved our efforts. When we looked at it, we thought it was great. I'm glad we played it. I'd love to play it again.
And it's got so many scenarios.
It's got a campaign
full
mode.
Campaign in it. And we say this about a lot. No scenario you play in that will ever be the same.
Because you're drawing units out randomly.
You don't have a fixed OOB.
Yeah.
You draw from formations.
Yeah.
This gives you those. And your mixture of formations will always be different just based on the volume of the deck of cards you're drawing from. Really, 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 really cool.
Yeah, so a good investment, sink $100 into that, and you're going to play that again and again and again and again. It's kind of like Combat Commander for me. I've got all 3 volumes. I have many of the battle packs. I mean, I could play that thing again and again and again, and it's different. So, great system. Good job, Wolfgang. Really appreciate it.
Well, and it's also, one more, it's nice that this is based out of Germany. Because I know importing games from US companies is extremely expensive in Europe.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have something that's domestic, that is a fully fleshed out and a very well made tactical system that will be, I think that is be much easier and much less painful to get a hold of in mainland Europe as well. So I think that's a big bonus for our European friends also.
Yep, agreed.
So that's all the games we played in February, I believe. Again, we played some Pathfinder, played some D&D.
Yeah, but I thought that was a good haul of games, and
I just wanted to brag that we played D&D because I love it so much.
Well, and it's been really fun. We've played. We've now played about eight or 9 sessions with the same group.
Yeah, we're level
4 now, and really have come into the zenith of the first part of the campaign. Yeah. And it's like you're very close to figuring it out and knowing kind of where you go next, and that's always fun. As the DM, I really enjoy taking us through that.
We're at level 4 going to level 5. You're starting to unlock some of the really powerful abilities and skills, and
you finally got a.
It's not level 1 where you're like, I beat you with a blunt stick. Right. Like it's like,
or I died with the first hit.
You feel like you can do a little bit more, and your character's a bit more like, I'm like this guy. I can do these cool things. I don't know. I really like where we're at with that.
And we play Pathfinder. I think we colloquially call it D&D, but it's Pathfinder.
Yeah. So TM, All right. So that was everything in February.
Yep.
Looking forward to March.
What are we going to do in March? So one thing I would say about March is we are going to visit our friend, Mike Heckman in St. Louis. Playing Basement Con. Didn't we call it Basement Con? We need to get like a shirt made. I think that would be hilarious. Make like shirts and take them, and everybody. I think that would be funny. But he has a really great basement. 5 or 6 of us are going to get together at a huge table.
Maybe even more.
And, right. We're going to play.
We're going to play Napoleon's Imperium from Compass Games.
2 to 8 players.
Plays
right?
8. And I'm almost 100% positive we're going to get 8 players for this and play this with max players.
Oh, good.
Which is like. Yes.
Well, those are the kind of games that you kind of dream of playing.
Yeah, you and I, just 2 of us.
Which is great.
It's not. You can play this 2-player.
Yeah.
You don't want to play this 2-player.
No,
You want to play this with 8 players. You can focus on your one faction and all your alignments, and you can play Napoleonic wars, like the whole thing strategically.
Medium complexity, 1 year per. Oh, that's the time scale. I'm trying to look at Playtime 4 to 6 hours for battle point games, 6 to 15 for campaign game.
Yeah, so
hours, 6 to 15 hours.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what we
get.
get. But I mean, we played War Room, right? We played War Room for about 12 hours,
like the whole day.
So I wouldn't mind playing that the whole day. It looks like it's really a cool system. It uses cards.
Well,
looks really good.
This was published by Compass Games. This was designed by the Australian Design Group,
yeah,
which is basically just like a group of wargamers. And they've play tested this for 30 years. This has been in development for close to 30 years. And it's just like those enthusiasts, and they've been playing this and refining it. So
working on it.
I have very high expectations for this.
Yeah.
Which is usually quite dangerous. But the production value is great. And I'm really, really hoping that this is an excellent game.
I have a copy of this one too. And I really look forward to playing it. So.
It's so much. It barely fits in the box.
Yeah. Great looking game. But that's one of the games we're going to play at Basement Con. We also are going to play Caesar. You just took your hands off of that. This is the follow-up game to Blitzkrieg, which we played earlier this past year, or later this past year, a second edition copy.
Yes.
So this is not just the same system, reskinned, repackaged, and sold for $40. This is a new game using the same concepts.
Even if you look at the back of the board, if you've played Blitzkrieg, you know Blitzkrieg does not look like this. This is a full-blown, kind of almost like an area control style game.
Yep.
This isn't just cubes and tracks. It's quite different. So I'm very happy that that's the case, and it isn't just a retheme.
Yeah. So that's a game, and it's a quick hitter, 20 minutes, right? So we're gonna play it a couple of times. We'll give our thoughts on it, and maybe compare and contrast it to Blitzkrieg.
Yes. Another game that just arrived that I'm going to hopefully get to this month is Hill of Doves from Legion War Games. This is First Anglo-Boer War, a topic that I've never played any games on. I played some on the Second Anglo-Boer War, not the first one. And, that's Legion War Games in a nutshell, right? It's a conflict that you've maybe have heard of, and if you have, you haven't played a war game on. That's what they specialize in. This is a solitaire-only game, sadly. That means I'm playing without you. But maybe this is one thing that we can kind of get together and play co-op as well.
Yeah, there's no reason we can't just to go through it. I mean, we did that with Soldiers in Postmen's Uniforms. To me, it just, once again, I'm trying to learn different systems and different things about war. This would be a great opportunity.
And I've spoken to a couple people who have played this. Apparently it's very, very challenging.
Oh, okay.
But it uses that telescopic three different levels. Scales. So you've got operational... strategic, operational, and tactical as well. Very much the same way, where what you do here affects this, what you do here affects this. So I'm very interested in this. Thematically, also something that's very interesting and engaging.
I assume this is a painting that they got the rights to, but it just looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Just looks like something you want to jump into and play.
And that artwork is always great. And everything's mounted in here, so this box is pretty heavy, all things considered. So
Legion War Games is one of those hidden gems that we've played dozens of their games, and I'm not sure we've ever... Well, I take that back. We played one game that we just didn't like.
I've never played a war game of theirs.
I've never played a war game of theirs. That's a very good statement. And I know they do a lot of good games and work really hard on them, and Randy... and his wife, that's Legion War Games,
That's
right?
it. It's the two of them.
They put little thank you notes in their games, say Randy, and I can't remember her name, but anyway, it's got a little signed thank you note in there. We've played so many of their games, and they're all good. They're all good.
Yeah,
the war games are really good.
Understand that it's like, this is like a cottage industry, basically.
Yeah.
But they make... professional products
that
sometimes put other big companies to shame.
They do.
And the topics are always interesting.
Yep.
And
I mean, we've played games on the Maori Wars. We've played games on American Indian Wars. We've played games on
Burma.
Yeah, Burma. How many Burmese war games have you played from World War II? Just not very many.
No.
Nemesis 44, just a fantastic game. I could go on and name more and more.
Well, and it's a company that if you haven't been onto their pre-order website, very dangerous.
Yeah.
I go on there.
Their CPO.
And I'm like, I'd like one of everything.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't do that with other companies.
Yeah, GMT I do it, but
like even with them, I'm like, I know I'll never play that,
right?
Because it's too big. Or this thing, I'm like, I've played a million Barbarossa games, right?
Yeah.
Whereas they specialize in not your average topics. And so you're like, yep, I'd like to at least be exposed to almost everything on there. Very expensive, very dangerous. Yeah. So just be warned.
Yeah, be warned.
Because, and they pick great artwork for their covers.
Yeah, they do.
They do. So, yes, that's another one that I'm looking forward to very much.
A couple other...
Okay.
And we're kind of finishing up our 2021 plays.
Yeah.
Our hope is by the end of the month to have played all the 2021 releases that we
realistically are going to get.
And that's going to be about 45. And then do our kind of top 10 with a couple of honorable mentions. This is one of those.
Yes.
A 2021 release that we desperately want to play.
They Were Soldiers, and this is...
Command Post Games.
But this is it's a Vietnam era war game.
Right? Command Post Games?
I believe it is.
No, I've got my... Go ahead, keep talking.
But it's you've got Battle of Yardrang Valley on it.
Yep.
Which you know from the film, We Were Soldiers, I believe is what it's called.
Yep.
And
Mel Gibson.
This was done on Kickstarter. Also a labor of love, this one.
Yep.
It's got little plastic miniatures in it.
Kind of an Axis and Allies style game.
Yeah,
a little
that's
bit.
what it looks like. I don't know if the mechanics line up.
No. It's
But that's what it looks like. When you set it up, it's, you've got your little guy. And he's
with
got
a couple chits underneath.
Yeah. I think the chits are exactly the ones.
Yeah, they are.
Allies.
They are.
But yeah, I've spoken to someone who's played this a whole bunch and was like, it was fun. I had a good time with it. The miniatures look great. It's great to play with. And the game itself is enjoyable.
In this box, you've got Battle of Yardrang Valley, LZ X-Ray, right? The famous, like you said, They Were Soldiers.
Yeah, first major engagement.
The reverse side of the board is Dak To, Hill 875. So you kind of get two games in one box. And I know we're going to try to do LZ X-Ray. That's the one we're going to focus on. Hopefully get that played this month. And I'm hoping it's really, really good. From what I've read, people have enjoyed it. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm looking for an enjoyable, fun game.
It uses cards. It uses minis. So, there's little mini helicopters, Hueys, right?
It's just... What's not to like?
What's not to like about that? So,
and
looking forward to that.
He's already kickstarting the sequel to this.
Yeah, it's already successfully finished.
Yes,
it's
there's a Battle of Way in the Easter Offensive.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool again.
Yep.
Totally different type of combat.
Yep.
Urban warfare.
Looking forward to that.
I've got hopes for this one too.
Yeah. Kevin Talley is the developer owner of that company. Good guy.
And the last one for March is gonna be Fire in the Sky.
One that we've had for a while and been wanting to get to the table because we love Pacific Theater war games. Yes. We always have. And this is a huge, strategic level look, and it's just really great.
And Phalanx does great games.
Yeah, it's an upgrade. It's a second or third edition of the original, and man, they really do it right.
Yeah, so, the box is somewhat unassuming in its size compared to some of their other games like Successes, which is huge.
Huge, and a great game, by the way.
But this is like mounted map, fully rounded,
beautiful
finished counters. Like the components are done to the nines.
You didn't like the dice. The dice are kind of funky.
Yeah, those aren't my favorite dice. But I've got like nationality dice that I would just sub and use those.
They're different. They're different. They're kind of, you'll have to see them to believe what they are. But very, very cool game. Looking forward to playing this one. Have heard a lot of good things about it, and we appreciate Phalanx. They put out good games. Yes. So really enjoy playing. Want to play this one and share it with you.
Well, and again, this is Phalanx, a European company. They're Polish guys, so it's Euro friendly.
Yeah.
Right? Again,
I'm not sure I've ever played their games that I didn't like. From Purple Haze to Freedom to
good.
The
only game of theirs, it's not that I didn't like it, it's that we didn't get it, was U-Boat.
And we didn't get it because I
don't know how to navigate.
That was the worst part.
It was very hard.
Somebody's got to show us how to play that.
And I'm desperately trying to work on that.
Well, isn't that James?
Yes.
We need to get him online to show us, and then we can play it. We're dumb.
Going to UK Game Expo this
year. That's right. Yeah. So learn it.
Phalanx are going to be there.
Okay.
So I'm desperately trying to make one of them sit down with me and do it.
And teach you.
Because
I bet he could do it on Tabletop Simulator.
Maybe.
But it uses an app. It's app assisted.
But we just could never
get the app. It just
we would do the tiny little phone, and you have to be kind of precise with some of it.
And it was funny because you were the navigator. Horrible choice, by the way. And we were navigating, and it'd be like, okay, we're supposed to see a ship now, and we'd look at the app, and it's like, nope, horizon line.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, there's a ship over
got
here,
away.
and it's like, I'm going to turn in such a way on this dial where I'm pretty sure that that's what it means that I'm going. We turn that way, and then it was like nothing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
A game we just did not get. Somebody's got to teach it to us, and we're usually pretty good about picking games up.
I'm just not smart enough for that.
That one, I just think I'm obtuse, and I can't think the way I need to think.
It's a very literal style of navigational mechanic that I move from this hex to this hex. I can do that.
Yeah.
That's it though. Every other game of theirs, generally speaking, I've had a good time with.
Yeah. 2 other games we're going to try to play at the end of the month at Basement Con.
Yes.
Company of Heroes.
I believe that's on the docket.
Yep, which is kind of a tactical, squad-based...
Yeah.
It's a cooperative, right?
No, it can be. So you can do it team-based, so you get 2-on-2.
Okay.
But it's, Memoir 44 style miniatures, but they're a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer. And
really looking forward to that.
It's apparently the video game and a board game.
Basically.
Okay. It's, go and capture these points. Mm-hmm. They become yours. Go and fight people, that kind of thing. But it's, a lot of plastic, a lot of, just for fun kind of a game.
So that one, and then we've also talked about potentially doing Sword of Rome from GMT Games. 5-player game. We'll see. We only have 3 days. I'm not sure we're going to get...
Yeah, well it'll be interesting to see what we get. But I'd love to do another big game on top of Napoleon's Imperium as well. Yeah.
So that I think it's going to be a very busy March.
Yes.
I think we're going to have a pretty big March debrief video and are starting to get started on our 2021 releases.
Yes. Okay, so I think that's everything that we're going to play in March, everything that we did play in February, anything that's on Kickstarter.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few Kickstarters out right now. One, Bill Molyneux, I always say his name wrong.
Bill Molyneux.
We met him at WBC. He's done several games for Lock and Load Publishing, Savage Wilderness, and Bloody Mohawk. He has, from Fast Play War Games, an introductory level Battle of Brandywine game, ironically called Battle of Brandywine. It's on Kickstarter. It's already funded, but still has a couple of weeks left. I have an interview on the blog coming out next week. So check into that. Compass Games just released Barbarians at the Gates.
Yes. By
Chris Van Burden. I always feel like I say his name.
And he did Europe in Turmoil,
yes, right? And is doing Europe in Turmoil 2, the Interbellum years.
Yeah.
This is a card-driven look at the struggle between the Romans and the barbarians in the late Roman Empire. So really look forward to that one. That's one I'd like to buy because I'm not sure Compass is going to give us a copy. And it's a game that I think looks really, really good. That's 2. We talked about a couple of others. Downfall of Empires.
Yes.
And Downfall of the Third Reich is by a new designer and company, Do It Games, which is from Barcelona, Spain. And the designer is Victor Catala. Downfall of Empires is a World War I game. And Downfall of the Third Reich is World War II. Very cool looking system. Got some cool economic aspects, area, movement. Very cool looking counters. I did an interview on both of those games, so check them out on the blog. So those are kind of the Kickstarters that I know. We talked about a couple others.
The other one that I remember was Western Front, which is a World War I card game by John Lee, I believe.
Tom Lee from, what's the name of his company? Little Bighorn Games. So Western Front is a World War I card game. This is actually the second edition.
Okay.
That was his first game, and he's done about 5 of them. I didn't do an interview with him on the blog this time. I usually do. I just ran out of time. But cool, very fast-playing, kind of card-style game. So check that out.
Yes.
To me, it looks very, very interesting.
I'm sure there's more games out there.
Yeah.
But that's all the ones I can off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Kickstarter is always a wealth. Or sometimes you have, nothing.
Yeah, there's kind of a dearth 15. Occasionally. Yeah.
And Worthington almost always have something going on.
They do.
There.
They just finished their 1944 D-Day to the Rhine.
Which means I'm sure they're ready to hit some more States of Siege games on there.
Probably.
Coming up soon.
Yeah.
Compass has always got something going on there.
Yep.
Phalanx is doing stuff on GameFound now.
Yep.
So
which GameFound is just as good. It's a different platform.
It's just a slightly different platform. So there's always stuff coming in and out. So keep your eye on it because we can talk about things once a month, but there's stuff that goes on that we miss.
I also, not a war game, I backed the Ultimate Edition of 51st State.
Ah, yes,
from Portal Games. 51st State is a post-apocalyptic card game, and it is. I've always enjoyed it. I don't know that you've enjoyed it as much as I have.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it the first few times that we played it.
Then we added the expansion, and it changed it.
The expansion
and I agree with you.
Added in combat, which just meant we were just destroying each other, and it just
rather than building.
All it did was extend the game.
I agree.
In a miserable way, which is very thematic for that game.
Well, it is.
But it was a great tableau builder.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, now it's a rubble builder.
Yeah. So the Ultimate Edition with a new expansion and everything that's been released over the past 10 years, I really have enjoyed that game. Bought it, and it was like $90. It wasn't even that much. So I'm looking forward to that one. It'll probably fulfill late this year, maybe even 2023.
Yeah, who knows? So I had a Kickstarter deliver this month.
Oh.
It was my Free League Publishing second edition of The One Ring.
Great
which
role-playing
is
game.
Role-playing in a Lord of the Rings setting. It used to be put out by Cubicle 7.
Uh-huh.
Great artwork, loved it. We've played that a bunch, and I have a whole bunch of the books.
We've enjoyed that.
Just to read and look at. I think it's one of my favorite role-playing systems.
Yeah.
I think I would say that. Although I do like the Fantasy Flight Star Wars system.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
But the license got moved to Free League Publishing, so I backed that. They did a super bumper edition of it, which was really nice. They did a starter set, so I got that as well. And then I also tagged on the Alien RPG that they do.
Cool. I've always wanted to play that.
Yep, I got that.
So do you what kind of characters do you make? Colonial Marines, scientists?
Well, a bit of everything.
Okay.
There's a whole Colonial Marine supplement book.
Okay. That's what I want to do.
Which is, but the starter set, which I already have.
Yeah.
Has a pre-made adventure, and it's very much you have a pilot and you have a mechanic.
Okay.
It's very much the crew of Alien.
Okay.
There's one soldier.
Got it.
And then there's one of you's an android, but that's hidden.
Oh, okay.
And not anyone knows about that.
Interesting.
And then you have almost like a little board game mechanic. You have these are your objectives for kind of this first act of the scenario.
Okay.
And then once you kind of get to the end of Act 1, you get dealt your new objectives.
Okay.
And then your next one. And it's more of these are your motivations as they change. To help keep it, almost like a film where you have the arc of the story. Yeah. And it's not just I have a singular motivation and I do this the whole time.
Yeah.
It helps to keep the story evolving. I don't know, it's really interesting. So, yeah. A bit of everything.
I look forward to trying it, maybe.
So,
cool.
that was a Kickstarter that delivered for me. So, I think that's the old Kickstarter roundup. So, now, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, Noble Knight Games. If you've never been to Noble Knight Games, you're living under a rock. Not sure how you've not gone there. Noble Knight Games they buy and sell and trade war games. They do
old and new.
They do it with board games, and they do it with miniatures and a bunch of other stuff as well. But most relevantly for us, they do it for war games. You can go in there and get new war games. Like you said, you can go and get out-of-print war games, rare war games. You can buy them from them straight up, or you can trade in old ones that you're not interested for store credit. You can do all of those things. And they were very gracious enough to partner, and we're an affiliate of theirs. And you can use the code, let me make sure I get this right. PLAYAID. Playade, and that'll get you 5% off any order that you place.
No limit.
No minimum amount, no maximum amount. You can use that for 5% off. So it's going to save you some money. I know half of you are already on there. So
use it and get a 5%.
You're already spending the money. You might as well make a saving. because that helps us and it helps them, and we appreciate any support that you guys give by using that code. And we appreciate being partnered with Noble Knight. I've used them many a time in the past for buying miniatures or buying some old war games and things like that.
Probably my best purchase from them was a brand new unopened copy of Wir sind das Volk.
Yes.
I had looked around, couldn't find anything that was reasonable. I think I bought it for like $60 or $50, and that was just really good. That was about a year ago. We still haven't played that.
No, we need to.
But I wanted it. It's always one, and I found it on Noble Knight. So
yes,
I think they've got a lot of stuff that you can find. I've been on their website many a time.
Yes.
And I hope you help us out by buying from them, and I hope it works out and you save some money and get some great war games and board games and miniatures and other things. So
appreciate you, Noble Knight, for sponsoring us and for working with people in this hobby and helping this hobby to kind of grow. It's always nice to see support for content creators out there as well. So use the code PLAYAID, PLAYAID, on the Noble Knight website. The link is below. And have at it and start saving now. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the topic of this month's monthly debrief.
We already kind of spilled, but
yes. So we're going to talk about games. How am I going to phrase this?
Yeah, we got to be careful because it's not insulting.
No.
Not at all.
This is games where I'm extremely unlikely or probably will never play the full game of this.
Yeah.
And most of this is due to unwieldy size or unwieldy length.
Yes.
And there are people out there that I'm extremely jealous of that have massive wargaming groups and have space where they can leave some of these big things set up and they can play a few turns. They can come back next week and play a few more turns.
And then take a month off and come back and play it again. I mean, we don't have that luxury.
No,
we really don't.
I don't have that much space, that much time, or that much in the schedule, frankly.
We probably would if we didn't want to cover any new games, right? We could just pick up these big games, play them and play them and play them and play them and play them, but we still wouldn't have 5 tables to do it on.
Yes.
So that there's a double whammy for us.
So the first one I want to talk about is War and Peace. Now,
Mark McLaughlin.
Yes. I believe this is only a 2-mapper, but it is very big with a lot of pieces, and it's very long. The playtime starts with 2 to many hours. So I don't know what many hours is, but it's more than a numerical value that they could come up with. So I think it's a lot.
That's kind of like a lie, isn't it? I mean, 2 to many hours? Are you just trying to deceive so that
you
people
might as well
will buy it?
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't really know.
Like a long time.
A long time.
So at some point, we will play this.
Yes, we'll play a small scenario.
One of the scenarios on it. It might be a 1-mapper scenario. It might be a small portion
of one
if
map.
there's smaller ones. I don't know. I haven't nosed through the stuff, but its box is huge.
Yep.
It's extremely heavy. The maps are mounted. I've heard it's very good. I've heard this has gone through a number of iterations.
Yep.
People used to complain, like the first edition, the campaign was like a horrible mess. And I know Mark spent a long time, a number of revisions, trying to get that part of it right. Which is the part which I will probably never play.
Yeah.
It's so big. And I got this, one of our patrons they got the newest version. So this is the second newest version. And so this was made, I believe it was printed in the US.
One small step at 2020, it says on it.
And then it was shipped to Israel, and it's come back again. So this is this has gone one of the furthest games, distance-wise. It's done a lot of travel, but I'm excited to play this. But the reality is
we won't play it all.
I
don't have many hours to devote to just one game.
But no,
unfortunately,
at some point we will play this. At some point we will review this. But to play the whole thing, please let me know if you have. Let me know if it's good. But understand that it's unrealistic that I will probably never play that. And
once again, I want to say this because I don't want anyone... It doesn't mean that we don't want to play it. It doesn't mean that we won't play it. We just will not play the many hours it will take to fully sup from the cup of this game.
Like, it's going to be 30 years before I've got the time to do that, probably.
Well, and then I'll probably be dead.
And I'll be doing this solo, and I won't want to do it.
Yeah.
So, wow, that was really dark.
Yeah, it got really dark really quick. Sorry.
But, so...
I would be 79.
Yeah, you'll be around by then.
Yeah, I hope so.
So that's that. War and Peace. Let me know if you've played the whole campaign.
Yeah.
Put that in the comments. Tell me if it's great, because I want to know.
I've heard good things about it.
That's relevant for all of the games that I think that we're going to talk about.
Yes.
So the next one that I think
we've actually played this.
Yes, is
and enjoyed the hell out of it.
Imperium
I really enjoyed
Romanum
it.
3
from Alnofi.
And this, there's a review of this on our channel. It's from a while ago,
like 3 or 4 years ago.
It's a very interesting game. I wanted something. This is a top shelf game, like a fine wine. When they said they were doing this, I remember we were at Origins.
Yep. And Doc was there with Decision Games.
Doc was there with Decision Games, who makes this, and they had a prototype of this, or like a pre-production copy, and it was this massive hex encounter Roman game.
Yep.
And most ancient Roman games are not hex encounter at this level.
Right.
You get hex encounters on the battle maps in your Great Battles of History, but most of them are like point-to-point or area control games. And I saw this and I thought, ooh.
We were immediately taken by it. I remember literally standing there for 10 or 15 minutes and looking at it and touching it and being like,
because it was really nice quality.
Yep.
And I think at the time I was like just finished up playing Unconditional Surrender.
Okay. Yep.
And so I was kind of used to having this big game
map,
on that table and kind of doing that, which had got wrecked. And so I was very much enamored with this as well. And we played it and we reviewed it, but again, we played a one-map scenario.
We played a small scenario.
Because this is 3 maps.
Yep.
I physically don't have the space for 3 maps.
And I'm trying to remember how many counters it has. Like, I want to say it was like
996,000
counters.
Like, so, it's a big one.
And frankly, it is a very cool game.
Yes.
It has battle. It has supply. Aren't there donkeys in it?
Yeah, there's like significant marching rules.
Yeah.
Because at this scale, moving an army requires a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And, there's a roads chart. Because this game covers such a long period of time that your roads get built and
then they
get degraded and removed. And so, you're referring to this chart of like, oh, this particular country has these kinds of roads during this period. So you can move
to movement, yeah.
Or this one doesn't. And you're like, ah. And so it's a very intense game. At some point, it would be cool to play the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the Imperium Romanum 2 had 2 maps. Imperium Romanum 3's got 3.
So Imperium Romanum 4 would have 4.
You know it.
The other cool thing about this is that the economy is really cool.
Yes.
Like you get gold and you can do, I don't know, just any game that has all of that is a game that I would love to spend 100 hours. What does it say?
36 hours.
Okay. 2 to 36 hours.
That might be rich.
And I would love to do that, but that's going to take us 2 months.
Yeah. Now, 36 hours is more playable than many.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Is it? I mean, aren't they negligibly the same?
At least they came up with a number.
Yeah, they came up with a number.
But this one is a space one. I can get 2 maps on my table. I can do that.
Yeah, this one's 3.
3 is... I've got to buy a new table.
And I think when we played it, I think the map was here.
I think we played with these 2.
Was it these
only,
2? Okay.
And it took up the entirety of my dining room
We didn't
table.
experience this whole section. I don't know.
Which Asia Minor is the cool part.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's going to be awesome.
An amazing game. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I would love to spend the 36 hours and actually play a full-blown Z campaign. Don't know that it's going to happen. Glad we played one scenario. We probably spent 8 hours on that scenario.
We spent a long time doing it.
And had a good time. But playing the whole thing is going to be very, very challenging.
Yes, this one's a space limitation for me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't mean it's not a good game.
Oh, no.
It's really good.
Speaking of which, space limitations. We can talk about It Never Snows. Because...
want to play it badly.
This is Standard Combat Series.
SCS is amazing.
MMP. One of my favorite systems. Such a clean and simple system.
Yep.
10 pages of rules, 2 pages of
exclusive
scenarios.
rules. Yeah.
And you have like a pretty hardcore hex encounter war game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is SES's market garden game. So this is what? A 2-inch box?
Yeah.
You know, how many maps has it got in it, Grant?
5.
5 maps.
5 full color 22 by 34 inch game maps.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
It has 3 huge play aid cards.
Yeah.
It's a huge game.
Like,
we just probably can't play the whole thing.
never.
I was trying to look for the hours.
Oh, I don't even know if they put it on there.
900 counters. Yeah, they don't have a playtime. But my guess is this is 30 hours, maybe 40 hours to do the whole scenario,
but like
campaign game.
Even if you had the time for that, I don't have space for 5 maps.
Nope.
I don't have space for 3 maps.
Nope.
So this is a game that we definitely will play because
We will play a small scenario.
SES is easy to do. I can play a 1-mapper. I could squeeze a 2-mapper onto this table at most. And I'm going to have a great time with it. I know it's going to be good. I know I'm going to enjoy this because I like this system.
Yeah.
I will probably never play a 5-mapper of this. It just won't happen. Yeah. I look on Board Game Geek and I see the pictures of people doing it.
You're jealous.
And I'm just like, I'm jealous.
But it probably won't happen.
Realistically, for me, the big one's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because it's such a cool system. And if you don't know SES, it plays very quickly. Like, you move units, you do attacks, you do some breakthrough. The pace of the game is really good.
Yeah.
Now, with 900 counters, does it maintain that pace? I don't know.
Yeah.
The turn's going to be a little bit longer than something like Rostov 41, which is a 1-map.
Which was our first SCS game.
Yeah, and it's 1 map, and it's low counter density, and you race through that game.
Yeah.
Really, really like that. This is, more maps, more pieces, but...
How many maps is it?
5.
5
maps, Grant. But if you only play
5 22 by 34. That's 100 by 150 inches. That's a lot.
And so, but
I'm not a mathematician.
If you only play with 1 or 2 of the maps, you're only playing with a couple hundred counters at most.
Yeah.
So, in theory, if you're playing one of the smaller 1-mapper scenarios, it will still have a really good pace to it.
Yeah.
Because you're not having 900 counters on 1 map. You're not doing that.
Yeah.
That's not, obviously not what happens.
So while you've got that one up there, I also own a huge game, Day of Days.
Yes.
SCS game, Multiman Publishing. It has 5 maps. It's a huge box.
Yeah, they give you a whole extra inch.
It has like 1,200 counters, so it has like 300 or 400 more counters. But it's the same thing. I remember when I unboxed that thing. This was like 4 years ago when I lived in Brownsburg. I laid it out on our dining room table. I could only fit 2 maps on the table. The other like couple of maps, I would need another like 2 tables to shove up against it. And it's just like, I bought the game. I'm glad I own it. One day we will play it.
Yeah.
But we will never play the whole campaign. It's probably 100 hours. Because it's the full of the D-Day landings.
Yes.
The airborne landings. The sweep across France. I mean, it's all of it. This is just one battle. Well, 3 battles and the running battle.
This was, from a time standpoint, much shorter than what's in Day of Days.
And I've got it. It's on my shelf. I've even clipped half of it. But it's a game we'll probably never fully get to the table.
No.
We're going to do a scenario. I swear to you, we're going to do like an airborne landing scenario because I really want to play that. But that's another game that I have on my shelf of shame that I would love to play.
Speaking of which, I just thought about Guam, Return to Glory.
And I have Saipan.
Yes. And
same SCS system.
We played. Is it no? It's
company scale
CSS,
system.
yes.
CSS. SCS,
we played Saipan. We reviewed Saipan.
We played a scenario of Saipan.
Yes.
That took us about 8 hours,
and it was really good.
It was an awesome game.
I had a great time with that game.
Yep.
I think it's a 2-mapper.
It is a 2-mapper. This is,
I believe, a
4-mapper.
And I bought this because I was jealous that you had Saipan, and I wanted because. I really like Pacific War games.
Yep.
and the ones where you're doing these landings with these marine assaults, and then going in and, you know, smoking out all of these hard points and getting all the defenders out of this terrain. Such an interesting thing to do in a war game. And so I picked this up. We got it at WBC.
Yeah, you bought it for like $30 and it's not, or $40.
I bought it for $90 and it's normally $140.
There you go.
Right?
That's what I meant.
But this is a four mapper. I know for a fact I'll never do it. I have a picture.
You laid them out.
I laid them out, and I laid my 6-year-old son next to it.
Scale.
And it was bigger than he was.
Yeah, like, it was incredible.
It's never going to happen.
And frankly, Saipan is a 2-mapper, and it's huge.
Yes.
We just played a small scenario that used about 30 or 40 hexes by 30 or 40 hexes. Had a blast with it. The CSS system is really cool because it's a smaller scale, so you're dealing with like, oh, this is a flamethrower and this is a mortar team.
Yeah, like because it's company scale.
Yeah.
You're dealing with your kind of battalion level support weapons that you're moving and assigning to your units. It's pretty crunchy.
Very good
in that
system.
way.
Yep.
But I bought this knowing full well I'm never going to play the full.
Well, and I have Montelimar, which is like, I think it's 4 or 5 maps, and I bought it at WBC that very same year because I'm like, well, hell, if you're going to buy this, I'm going to buy that.
But I know I will. Like, I bought this knowing I'm going to do some of these landing scenarios because that's what I'm interested in. I want to get in and do that kind of spearhead. I'm less interested in spending the next 25 hours consolidating. This is 2. What does it say?
1 to 50 hours for the full campaign. 4 maps. Yeah. 1,056 counters.
Yeah.
Now, that's a lot.
But of all these games, so I'll be honest. When I bought It Never Snows, I did not know it was 5 maps.
Well, looking at this box, you would think, it's 2 maps.
I bought it blind.
2 maps.
I knew it was a Market Garden game.
Yeah.
And in my brain,
that's small.
I had read that it was a 2-map game.
Okay.
When it arrived and I had misread that and it said 5 or whatever.
522 by 34 maps.
I was like, I was disappointed because I'm like, man,
I wanted to play that, yeah.
But
one day we will play at least a scenario. In fact, I would love to propose an SCS event sometime.
Absolutely. I'm fully on board.
You've got a whole stack up there. I've got a stack.
I got a stack over there. Like,
that might be a great event that we pick World War II SCS and do 5 or 6, maybe 7 games and compare and contrast.
Because then, I'm fully on board with that.
Not 20 games.
Let me know if that's what you want to do. Put that in the comments if you want to see that. Yeah. But this one I bought and was disappointed it was so many maps because I was an idiot.
This one you knew.
This one I knew, and I knew I wasn't going to play the whole thing. But I'm like, I'll be able to play this beach landing and this one and this one. So I'm going to get what I want out of it, and knew it's not going to be a 50-hour campaign.
And I bought Montelimar knowing damn well I would never play that. But you know what? I wanted another big monster game for my collection.
Speaking of big monster games for our collection, there's a couple we don't have here. A Time for Trumpets.
I have it at my house, and I've clipped.
That's a 5-mapper, right?
It is a 5-mapper, and there are 11 counter sheets. I have clipped about half the counters for the introductory scenario, which, remember, we talked about doing that.
Yeah.
And that came out a year ago, and it's just time has slipped by. But that is one I will never be able to play the entire, because it's like 100 hours.
Yeah, but
it's
5 maps, 100 hours.
Battle of the Bulge.
And we will play that introductory scenario.
Someday we will play
learn the system, and we will let you know what we think of that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's a big one. And this whole conversation was spurred by Pacific War, which is coming out from GMT.
Well, and Pacific War is like that. I mean, the box is that big.
At least 4 inches.
Yeah, and it has 4 or 5 maps. And Mark Herman, the designer, has said, you don't play the full campaign.
Yeah.
You play...
not feasible.
A 10-hour scenario here and an 8-hour scenario there. And some crazy person's going to set it up. They're going to spend a year...
Yeah, some contrarian's going to do it just to say it's been done.
Yeah, playing through it. And that's great. But that's a huge game. And we've seen everybody and their mother has received a copy of that. We will get a copy.
Yep.
We just haven't received that yet.
Yeah, it's a game where the designers, just because you could do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Right.
And Mark admits to that. Like, it's a redo, second edition of the original game that he released through SPI, and it's like, it's this dinosaur from a prehistoric age. We don't make games like that anymore because so few people have the time and space and inclination to sit through something like that, where it's got everything in it, but like, even he's never played the whole campaign.
Yeah, yeah.
So, by his own volition and admission, it's...
He did it because he could, probably not because he should. Right?
And like, I feel like he's like redone it almost as like a meme. Just because. So that we can all enjoy it. We can all have this brick on our shelves. And
it's
like,
huge.
We can all joke about it and be in on it. So
that is one you can have. I will not fight you over.
What
not because I don't want to play it or try it, but it's just going to blow my house up.
Yeah, I'll end up using it as like a footrest.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too big. So anyway, Mark, we love you.
Oh, yeah. And I'm looking forward to, like...
I am too.
Playing around with that to see, what we can get out of it.
Yep.
But yeah, the full game's never going to happen. I think the last one we can talk about today...
Well, one more after this, but they're both World War III.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The Third World War.
So, this is Storming the Gap from
World War 85 from Lock and Load Publishing.
So this is part of their modern Nations at War series. So Nations at War is like a company scale...
very cool system.
World War II system. Yeah, very neat. I mean... pretty easy to learn. I felt like it was a very clean system.
White Star Rising, and we played... What other one did we play?
Did we play the desert one? Rommel in the Desert?
I don't remember.
Either way,
a couple of them. It's a great system.
That same system, but now it's like, this is 1985. What if the Cold War went hot? Kind of a thing in Germany, and so this game is huge. The best part of this game here, if we turn it up,
I was trying to read how many maps it's got.
It has because they're map cards, so it's got 8 geomorphic map cards
that are 19 by 13.
Yes.
That is huge.
When you lay it out, it's massive. What I really
That's almost 2 feet.
Is huge.
By 1 foot. That's insane.
So, this is a convention game, is what I would say.
And we saw this at WBC, and we talked to the designer, Keith
Tracton?
Yeah, Keith Tracton. It was amazing looking.
So,
set up.
Because they had it specially printed on a massive vinyl piece.
Yep.
Which didn't need any plexiglass, wasn't ever going to move, and it was so... Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
Because they just had this thing set up, and the way that the system works, you pull a chit, and you activate that formation.
Yep.
And so people would just drop it in, they were teaching you how to play, you pull a chit, you'd play the chit, and you'd be like, that was really cool, thank you. And the next person would do a chit, which is perfect for solo play. But the size is way too big for my table to play the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But because they're little geomorphic map cards, boy, you can break this down and play a lot of the scenarios for it. But there was nothing quite like rolling up to WBC.
Oh, it was amazing.
And seeing this huge thing laid out, all of these formations covering the whole board, and it was so cool. And I hope that's something. So I'm pretty sure that vinyl was given to Dan Pancaldi, and he's still got it. I'm like, I would love to see that regularly at conventions whipped out, because I'm like,
it was pretty cool.
It's such an easy game to drop in and just play a little bit, so that you can kind of get a flavor for the system, or you can sit there and play for a couple turns and really get some meat out of it if you wanted to. For my little table at home, I'm never going to get that, sadly.
Yeah.
Because I do like the system, and I'm limited by the space.
Yeah.
And I got these little map cards, and it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's just not the same.
Yeah. The other one that I wanted to mention was The Third World War by Frank Chadwick.
Yes.
Just came out, a new edition with Compass.
Yes.
And it's also a huge game. 3-4 maps.
Yes.
1,000 counters.
And that one's justified by it's 4 games in one. Because I think they were originally released separately. At least some of them.
Kind of the old SPI 4 packs. It's one I'm probably never going to play the entire campaign.
No.
I would still love to get it and play one or two scenarios. So.
Yeah, because Third World War is not really my favorite thing. I know we've just talked about two of those games.
Yeah.
But like that one, of all of the Third World War games, it's not just Germany.
Right.
Like, I'm interested in the Scandinavian map,
and
I'm interested in like the Middle East map.
Yep.
Those are the things that I'm like most interested in out of that, because it's not, if I'm going to play Germany, just give me this.
Right.
Or the whole thing, which we're never going to play. That would be interesting too. But yeah, it's a size and time thing with some of these monsters.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just not. At some point, I'm probably going to buy another table, but
yeah,
and
frankly,
and I'll still not be able to fit this on.
Yeah, I think down here in our bunker, it's at your house, you could easily get 2 tables.
Like I could do this and do it this way. If I got another one of these,
yeah.
and you could fit on
maybe two full maps or 3 even.
Because I can get 2 maps on here, and it's a real squeeze though, and it's not much space. But then you could start getting some of the 2-3 map at once. I don't know. We could figure it. Or we could do Day of Days, Long Ways.
Yeah,
could do that because of the shape of that map.
Yeah. So let us know if you've wrestled with some of these monsters, how you've tamed them, whether the experience is worth it or not. Or even just tell us why we're whack.
Yeah.
I love a good war game. I really do.
Yes.
But I think the way our lives are anymore, I come over once a week. We play for 4 to 8 hours. And I just don't know that I could come over here and for 3 days in a row play 12 to 15 hours. I just don't
do
think
that
I can
over
do it.
and do that 3 times in a month, because this takes 50 hours to play.
Yeah. And you work down here, you have your office set up, it's hard to move by stuff and have it set up for months and months at a time. Not to mention there's other games we got to cover. So I've started to really migrate to the 3 to 5 hour games or smaller scenarios, because we can get a feel for the system. We can explore them, understand some of the strategy, and learn about the history, but not spend many hours playing.
Or I'm going to spend something like Salerno 43, which is coming out. 1 map.
Yep.
And I might spend 8 to 10 hours on that, but I'll play that's the whole game.
Yeah.
It's
Holland 44 was another, it was a 2-mapper.
Yeah.
Really, it was 1.5 maps, but we played that for about 15 hours, and we completed, I think it was 12 or so turns.
Whereas
had a great time with that.
I'm going to spend that same amount of time on this, and I'll be 3 turns in.
Yeah.
As opposed to 50.
You won't even be to the first bridge.
And that's the difference. With these smaller games, if I take a long time with it, I've made way more progress than on the big ones where I spend a lot of time with it, and I'm still like
bogged down. So once again, we don't hate monsters. We like monsters. I just don't know that monsters like us at this time in our life.
Sadly.
Maybe one day, but
I hope so, because some of it looks so cool and appealing and very interesting.
And there's no doubt when you go to a WBC or a Buckeye Game Fest that we're going to it, and somebody's got a big 3-4 mapper set out with 1,000 counters on it, and 3 or 4 old grognards are hunkered over it
for a week, every day, all day.
It's very cool. It is very cool. It makes me jealous. I just don't know that I have the time to tame those monsters.
No. So yeah, let us know what your favorite kind of monsters are. If there's any games where you're like, I'm never going to play this, let us know as well. Or if you've tamed them, and
let us know.
Sat there and you've done Pacific War, the whole campaign.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Let us know.
Yeah.
So, appreciate you very much for tuning in. Please remember to go to Noble Knight Games. If you go in there, use our code PLAYAID, PLAYAID. Help support the channel.
And thank you for, I think we try to say this thank you for all the support you guys give us. It's great to see the comments, the feedback, our Discord channel, not Discord.
It's a Slack channel.
Slack channel, our, our Patreons, or Patreon, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's getting late.
It's late.
I'm about done. But it's really great to interact with everyone. We're going to go to a couple big conventions this year. I look forward to seeing many of you. Hopefully at WBC would be a great one.
Buckeye Game Fest.
We'd also love
April 7th through 10th.
Yep. Probably not this year, but I still want to go to GMT West and Weekend at the Warehouse, but we'll get there someday. So thank you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving us feedback and input. We appreciate it.
Yes, so appreciate you tuning in. I've been Alexander from PlayerSafe.com.
And I'm Grant.